Hello! So you are probably wondering why you have not heard from me in a very long time, and there is a very reasonable explanation. I filmed this video about a week and a half ago, but then I was editing it on my computer and it was looking beautiful, but then it deleted itself and the filming was really bad, so I decided to film a new one. But that does mean that I'm going to talk really fast because I don't have the motivation to film this entire video a second time. So I'm going to update you really quick about everything. Since my Vienna weekend, I had 9 days in school and weekend enjoying normal life, and then I went on a city tour with Rotary. So it was the same idea as the Vienna weekend and the hiking weekend that I went to. All the exchange students came together to go on a wonderful tour. First night we met in Linz, and we all took the trains to get to Linz. We met at the Bahnhof, and then we got all together and walked to our hotel. And that night we were given the opportunity to either stay at the hotel and do nothing all night, or to go on a walking tour of the university. So most people chose to stay at the hotel, but I decided with my friend Ben to go on a tour of the university, which was probably a weird choice because I don't have any intentions of studying there, but that was a really fun night with Ben, and I really enjoyed that. Linz is a very pretty city in Austria. Woke up the next morning and we got on the bus, which was the first of very many times that week, and we drove to Prague, which is in the Czech Republic, and it is probably one of my top 4 favorite cities in the entire world now. To describe Prague is almost impossible. It was just a vibrant city. There was so much life and so much culture, and I don't want to use the word foreign because that seems stupid to describe a foreign city as being foreign, because obviously it's foreign, but wow, it was just the language and the people and everything was just, it was so different and it was so beautiful, and I felt like we were just engulfed in this wonderful culture. So we went on a tour which started on our bus, and then we walked through the old city a bit, and it reminded me a little bit of Innsbruck just because it was sort of the same era, but like 1,000 times bigger, and it was absolutely beautiful. We learned a lot of the history, and everything is so old, and you hear these stories of all of these wonderful, magnificent world events that have taken place there, and it really just puts you in awe. And then after that we had some free time, so I went with some of my good friends into the city center, and there was this big open square, and we watched a really funny street performer who was absolutely insane. And then we did some shopping for souvenirs, and just hung out a bit, went to Starbucks, which I know I shouldn't be getting Starbucks every opportunity, but I love Starbucks. So we did that, and then we headed back to the hotel all together with all of the exchange students, and we ate dinner in the hotel, and then again we were given some free time. So because our hotel was actually in the middle of nowhere, most people chose to stay at the hotel, but I have decided that I need to take every opportunity I can, and we had one night in Prague. So my friends and I did something a little stupid, a little very fun, and we got on one of the public transit trams and just said that we would get off when we saw something cool. So we ended up in the center of the city, and we got to see the city by night, and it was more of a local experience, I guess, than just going with a tour group. So I really did enjoy that night in Prague as well, because I love Prague. I am talking so fast. We got up nice and early the next morning and got back on our tour bus, and drove now into Germany, where we stopped in Dresden, and we were only there for a few hours. But first we did a walking tour, and Dresden is a very, very unique city because almost the entire city was destroyed during the Second World War by bombing. So everything that we saw, although the architecture styles were very old, everything had been rebuilt since the Second World War. So a lot of it was rebuilt as replica, or at least in the same style as originally, and we were able to see pictures of the original buildings and compare it sort of to what was standing. And it was absolutely beautiful and incredibly inspiring, because there was this city, this beautiful, magnificent city that was torn completely to the ground, and somehow they had the courage and the strength to rebuild this entire city and restore the architecture and the history. And I felt so inspired to be in such a magnificent place where something so tragic happened, but they were able to build something so beautiful out of it. And one of my favorite parts of Dresden and of the whole trip was this beautiful church that we saw in Dresden that had been almost completely destroyed. But the church had been a landmark for Dresden, so after it had been completely destroyed, people from around the world donated money, and now they've rebuilt this beautiful church. And in our free time after our tour, I went inside and looked around a bit, and there's monuments and a bunch of things to talk about the idea that they rebuilt the city and they rebuilt this church, and people from all over the world came together to put this thing together as a symbol of reconciliation and hope and moving forward. And I was really happy to be there. And then we had some more free time and walked around Dresden a bit and just enjoyed the beautiful scenery there, because not only do they have incredible architecture, but it's just a beautiful city in general. So when we were done in Dresden, we got back on our beautiful bus and we headed to Berlin. When we got to Berlin, we got into our youth hostel and we had some dinner. And then in Berlin, that night happened to be Halloween. So there were a lot of exchange students who had put together these awesome costumes beforehand and had planned a lot, but I did not do that, which at first I was like, that was stupid, Nicole. And then I had a really good idea, because my friend Lisa and I, from the very first day of language camp, everybody has thought that we are sisters or twins or the same person. So I saw her that day and I said, I have a really good idea. So I ran to my room and I put on the same outfit that she had on, and then I came back out, and that was our Halloween costume, is that I was Lisa and she was dressed as Nicole, and it was so funny. We completely confused a lot of people. I introduced myself as Lisa from Colorado, and like people could not tell who was who. Here's a picture right now. So we went out that night into the city in Berlin, saw a little bit of the city by night, enjoyed what it had to offer, and then the next morning we got back on our bus, but we did not leave Berlin. We went on a bus walking tour sort of thing of Berlin, which was amazing because Berlin has a lot of historical value. It's where the Second World War started and ended, for Europe at least, and where a lot of the important decisions and events of the Second World War took place, as well as the famous Berlin Wall. And fragments of the Berlin Wall are still standing, and we were able to drive in and out and see the architectural differences and the cultural differences that still remain between East and West Germany. And we heard a lot of the history, and it was an incredible experience to see these things that I've heard of my entire life firsthand. And again, something that I thought was beautiful was seeing the Berlin Wall, because the fragment that we saw of the Berlin Wall and we took some pictures with was beautifully decorated. It was painted by people from all over the world in all of these different languages, and it all came together as this cohesive artwork with this message of peace and moving forward. And they took something that was sort of dark and sad from their history, and they made something so beautiful of it. And when I see it, it's just this hope and this idea that you can move on, and people from the entire world have come together to help everybody move on and move towards freedom and peace and all that good stuff. And I was absolutely inspired there as well. And then we had some free time after, so we explored the city, and then we had dinner, and then more free time. So we went back into the city and enjoyed our last night in Berlin. I love Berlin. I love Berlin. So it was absolutely incredible, and seriously, go to Berlin if you've never been. And the next morning we got back on our beautiful bus and drove the entire day all of the way back to Linz, and then I got on a train in Linz and got back to Innsbruck, and it was a full day of traveling, and I was completely done at the end. I was so tired. I wasn't making sense, but it really, truly was one of the best weeks of my life. I know that I talked fast through this video, but I really had to, because I needed to get across all of the wonderful points, and I don't think that I'll have time for pictures and stuff in this video, but I might make another one and post it along with this video with just pictures, because I have lots. So, in summary, Prague was beautiful and incredible and vibrant and cultural, and Dresden inspired me so much, and Berlin was an incredible beacon of hope, and I love Rotary trips, and I love exchange students, and I was really sick last week, so I didn't post this video, but I'm doing a little bit better, and I will post a video tomorrow because I went to Venice last weekend or the weekend before or something. I don't know. I've been really busy.